I set the cruise control on the highway. Then I realized the brakes were not working. No matter how hard I pressed the brake, the speed stayed at 100 kilometers per hour. A huge truck was ahead of me on the right. On the left, a white sedan was crawling along in the passing lane, side by side with the truck. My wife was in the back seat, feeding our baby snacks. She saw we were about to crash. "Honey, why are you not slowing down?" She turned and stared at me. I looked into her eyes through the rearview mirror and said bitterly, "Fasten your seatbelt, hold tight to the handle, and I love you." As I laid on the horn, my wife had already guessed what was happening. The car ahead was still inching along. It was doing barely over 70 kilometers per hour. I hated drivers who crawled along in the passing lane. I did not dare let off the horn. At last, the white sedan picked up speed a little. But before I could breathe easy, something terrifying happened. The white sedan's brake lights suddenly came on. There was clearly nothing in front of him, but my horn had annoyed him, so he tapped his brakes on purpose to scare me. But the problem was, I could not brake at all. Bang! My car slammed straight into him. The car jolted violently. My wife gripped the handle. I clutched the steering wheel with all my strength. If I drifted out of my lane, the truck beside us would drag us under its wheels. Luckily, the white sedan had only meant to scare me. The driver must have hit the brakes, then the gas in an instant. So, when I crashed into him, he was startled too. He floored the gas. Pulling away ahead, we passed the truck. The white sedan's window rolled down. A man waved at me, shouting curses as he did. He began moving toward the next lane, trying to make me stop. My wife rolled down her window and desperately yelled, "The brakes have failed." But with the wind roaring that hard, how could he possibly hear her? When he saw me drive on, the white sedan immediately chased after us again. The man was furious. He was the one crawling along and brake-checking me on purpose. Yet he acted as if we had wronged him terribly. He flipped me off. He hit the gas and shot in front of me again. That bastard was trying to cut me off and force me to stop on the highway. When reckless drivers get on the road, it often means they bring death to innocent families. The moment his car blocked me, I crashed into it hard. Another deafening bang. I smashed in the front of his car. My car surged forward. The massive impact threw it off balance. I quickly turned on lane change assist and fought to hold the steering wheel steady. The faster you go, the less you can afford to panic. You cannot panic. One wrong turn of the wheel, we'd be in a fatal wreck. My wife was sobbing in terror in the backseat. How did we run into someone like this? I wanted to tear that driver apart. My wife and child were in this car. Our lives were hanging by a thread. Yet he would never think he was at fault. He would only believe we had rammed him on purpose and fled the scene. Sure enough, the white sedan soon caught up again. Its front end was already smashed to pieces, but he still would not let us go. My car was locked at 100 kilometers per hour. He stomped on the gas, racing ahead of us. My heart dropped. I instantly sensed something was wrong. Then his window opened. From his car, he threw a cup of instant noodles he had just finished eating. It smashed straight into my windshield. Noodle soup instantly splattered across the glass. I could not see the road at all. I quickly switched on the wipers, but an oily film coated the windshield. At that moment, our lives were in fate's hands. We could not make out anything ahead. The more the wipers swept the oil, the worse it got. I could only wipe away the noodles first, and let the rest dry in the wind. That at least let me barely see ahead. My wife trembled as she cried in the backseat, but she quickly picked up her phone and called highway police. Crying, she said, "My husband and I are on the highway. Our brakes have failed. A car is deliberately cutting us off to force us to stop. He even threw instant noodles at us. Please, officer, save our family." Wiping away her tears, my wife connected her phone to Bluetooth. She cried, "Honey, the police need our location, but I do not know where we are." Once the Bluetooth connected, I said, "We just passed the Huangjiadun highway exit. We are heading toward the south side of the city. What is your vehicle's color and license plate number?" "Matte gray. The plate number is 55. "All right. We will immediately close the highway exits ahead and send patrol cars to clear the way. Can you see the license plate of the car harassing you? We will contact him and tell him to get away from you immediately." I did not catch his plate number. "I cannot see it right now. He is driving alongside me." "Understood. We will check every traffic camera at once. Keep driving for now." I swallowed hard and asked the question that mattered most. How far are we from the nearest emergency escape ramp? There was silence for several seconds. Then they said, 80 kilometers. We will do everything we can to protect you. In an instant, all hope drained from me. 80 kilometers was practically the distance across the cities. The white sedan was still driving alongside me. Its driver kept screaming insults at me. I could not hear what he was saying, but I knew it was vile. More importantly, an emergency lane had appeared ahead. If I could move into it now, our family's chances of surviving would rise dramatically. But the problem was that white car. It blocked me on the right, matching my speed. I had no way to change lanes into the emergency lane. My wife sat in the back. She wiped away her tears and suddenly unfastened her seat belt. She said, "Honey, did you turn on lane change assist? If you did, get out of the driver's seat now. I will switch places with you." I looked up and stared at her face in the rearview mirror. Crying, she said, "You are more likely to survive in the back seat. Let me drive." I said nothing. I only gripped the steering wheel tighter. She kept begging me to switch places. "If you die, what will our daughter and I do? I do not earn enough to raise her. It would be better if you survive instead of me." I turned and looked at my daughter. She was still babbling away, completely unaware of the danger she was in. She held a little cookie and happily waved her tiny hand. I forced a smile and said to her, "Sweetheart, say daddy." She had never called me daddy before. If I was going to die here today, at least I wanted to hear her call me daddy once. My daughter giggled at me, waving her little cookie, babbling, "Abu, Abu." Seeing I still would not switch places, my wife urgently tugged at my clothes. My nose stung with tears. I whispered, "Do not use our baby as an excuse. Listen to me. I have never believed in ghosts. But if we meet again, I hope there is another life." My wife stared at me blankly. But then, my heart clenched. The white sedan passed me again in the right lane. I did not know what he planned to do. Judging by his actions, he had no regard for human life. His window opened again. Something flew out. Before I could see what it was, the windshield before me shattered. My wife let out a scream of agony. I turned to look and froze. A screwdriver pierced through the windshield. He had not only smashed my windshield, but at 100 kilometers per hour, it shot through the front passenger seat and buried itself deep in my wife's shoulder. I turned around. All I saw was my wife in the back seat, pinned to her seat by the screwdriver. She clutched her shoulder, blood pouring from it. My mind went completely blank. One thought spun in my head: ram him to death. My smiling daughter burst into terrified sobs. When I looked at her, I saw a shard of glass had pierced her tiny face, leaving it covered in blood. My wife was in unbearable pain. Her face was pale, but when she saw our daughter was hurt, she struggled to grab the screwdriver and yank it out. She threw herself to our daughter's side. She anxiously said, "Sweetheart, do not be afraid." My wife examined our daughter's wound and cried weakly to me. "Her face is cut. Glass is embedded in her flesh. I dare not touch it." Watching this in the rearview mirror, my heart felt torn apart. Just moments ago, my wife had been peeling grapes for me in the backseat. My daughter clutched a little cookie, happily waving her tiny hand. But now, one had a screwdriver through her shoulder, and the other was covered in blood. I told myself, if I survived, I would kill that driver in the white car. The right side of the windshield had already been shattered. At my speed, glass fragments blew into the car now and then. As I drove, my heart was filled with fear and hatred. If it had been even slightly off, the screwdriver would have gone into my wife's head, or her heart. If I had been alone in the car, I would have rammed him to death. But now I had to stay calm. No matter how much I hurt, I had to force it down with reason, to keep my family safe. Just then, the white car ahead gave me the finger again. In that instant, a bold but workable plan came to me. The white sedan always pulled ahead to throw things at me. So could I follow directly behind it and let him clear the way for me? If there was an obstacle ahead, he would have to avoid it first. If he hit the brakes, then I would just rear-end him. Using his brakes and his car's weight, I could force my car to stop. In other words, if he took an exit, with me following behind, the moment he slowed down, I could rear-end him and ram him off the cliff and keep me safe. His car could be our buffer. It was also a way to keep my family alive. As I considered this plan, I had wanted to avoid harming any innocent person, but he had dragged me into a deeper abyss. If that was the case, then I might as well drag him down with me. I might as well drag him down into the abyss with me. Make him take the hit from me. With that thought, I immediately turned the wheel and got behind the white car. He had not expected me to do that. He quickly switched to the left lane. I followed him left. He switched to the right lane. I followed him right. The white car had held the upper hand, but now it was completely on the defensive. My wife understood what I was doing too. Clutching her wound, she said weakly, "Honey, stay close behind him." I nodded. I focused with everything I had and tailed the white car. He seemed to settle down, driving steadily ahead. But then something suddenly changed. The white car suddenly swerved hard into the left lane. He moved so fast that he nearly hit the guardrail himself. Luckily, I had instinctively used the white car as a shield. As he changed lanes, I swerved over too. Only then did I see a huge box in the road ahead. It must have fallen from a truck. That white car was still trying to kill me. He had deliberately waited until he was that close to switch lanes, hoping I would crash into the box and die in the wreck. A chill ran down my spine. I kept right on his tail. It was dangerous, but it was the only way left to protect my family. Seeing that I would not shake him, the white car began slowing down, and I could not brake. So naturally, I rammed straight into his rear bumper. I rear-ended him again. At the moment of impact, I gripped the steering wheel tightly, and he finally hit the brakes. I breathed a sigh of relief, because my car was clearly slowing down. It dropped from 100 kilometers per hour to 90, then down to 80. At this rate, I could use the white car's weight and brakes to slow down more and more. I had even planned it out. Once I was going slowly enough, I would crash through the guardrail and hit a tree at a lower speed, letting the tree stop the car. But the next second, the white car pulled another stunt. As I turned toward the guardrail, the white car suddenly accelerated and changed lanes. My speed immediately shot back up. I shouted desperately, "Hold on tight." The car smashed hard into the guardrail. An experienced driver would let the empty passenger side take the impact, but I could not make any sudden moves. My family was in the car. I had to take the impact myself. The guardrail tore the hood right off the car. I wrenched the steering wheel left, keeping the car pressed against the guardrail to slow it down. Even so, when we hit the tree, we were still going nearly 50 kilometers per hour. There was a thunderous crash. I tried to press myself back, but the massive force of the collision still overpowered me. My body lurched forward. The airbag deployed and slammed hard into my chest. My vision went black, and I could barely breathe. I tried to draw deep breaths, but it felt like something was lodged inside my chest. It made my heart race. It left me dizzy. My vision kept going dark. I painfully turned around, trying to check on my wife and daughter. My wife had already fallen unconscious. My daughter was still lying in her car seat, her little face covered in blood, wailing at me. I had never seen anything so heartbreaking. I struggled to unbuckle my seatbelt, but we had been going too fast when we crashed. My car was badly wrecked. My leg was pinned tight. Most importantly, the white car had stopped up ahead. Its driver got out. He climbed over the guardrail and walked toward us. Instead of coming to help first, he pulled out his phone and started filming us. He came up to my window, pointed the camera at me, and said, "Look, this idiot was driving like a maniac on the highway." He rear-ended me and tried to run. Now I have beaten him into submission. Sure enough, in his eyes, I was the villain. I rolled down the window, but before I could speak, he grabbed my hair and slapped me hard across the face. "Keep acting tough, then. Keep honking, huh? Keep running from an accident, huh? You picked the wrong person today. Let me tell you, I never put up with idiots like you." I could not speak at all, because he was using his phone to smash me in the mouth again and again. As he hit me, he cursed furiously. "That is for rear-ending me. That is for trying to run. And that is for honking at people." In agony, I spat out a huge mouthful of blood. Only then did he notice my wife and daughter in the back. He said coldly, "So the whole family is here. When you were driving like a maniac, did they not tell you not to get yourself killed?" He stretched, still with no intention of helping us. Instead, he walked over and sat on a nearby rock, then said casually, "All right, just wait to pay up." I spat blood to the side again, and said weakly, "My brakes had failed long before this. I was not honking to rush you. I was afraid of hitting you, but you would not move aside. You even hit the brakes to scare me." "Oh, sure. Your brakes did not fail earlier or later. They just happened to fail when you rear-ended me." he said dismissively. I knew nothing I said would matter. He would only think I was lying, trying to deceive him. When someone is determined to pick a fight, every valid reason becomes an excuse. Right then, all I cared about was my wife and daughter's safety in the backseat. I had noticed smoke rising from the car. I was terrified it would catch fire. I yanked at my leg with all my strength, but the dashboard had it trapped tightly. My leg was not injured. The problem was, I could not pull it free. I tried moving my seat back, but there was a child seat behind me, blocking my seat. If I moved it back any farther, I would crush my daughter. Seeing me still struggling, the white car's driver laughed. Look at you now. Why were you acting so tough before? I roared. Can you call an ambulance first? My wife and daughter are in the car. He shrugged and said innocently, if they die, they die. They are your wife and daughter. They are not my wife and daughter. He pulled out his phone again and filmed me. He said, look at this piece of junk. It is starting to burn. Soon the whole family will burn to death. That is what they get for driving like maniacs. I was frantic. If this kept up, my family really would die here. Just then, my wife suddenly moved. She looked at me through a haze and weakly said, honey. Hearing her call for me, I cried out, honey. The car is about to catch fire. Take our daughter out first. She struggled to sit up. That screwdriver had pierced straight through her right shoulder. Now, she could only unbuckle our daughter's seat belt with her left hand. After finally getting it undone, she anxiously asked why I was still not out. I am trapped. Take our daughter out first. My wife did not dare delay any longer. She lifted our daughter with one hand and forced the door open. At last, she got out. Once she was out, she tearfully said to me, honey, you have to get out too. Flames had already erupted from the front of the car. I strained with all my strength, but it was useless. My wife desperately said to the white car's driver, what are you standing there for? You caused all this. Why will you not help him? The white car's driver glanced at my wife, then slowly walked to the front of my car. He took out a cigarette and put it between his lips. Then he lowered his head and lit it with the flames from my car. He gave a smug chuckle. Drive properly in your next life. With that, he coolly turned and walked away. My wife panicked. She quickly set down our daughter and grabbed his arm. Why will you not save him? How many times are you going to hurt our family? The white car's driver suddenly swung a vicious slap across my wife's face. The blow knocked my wife to the ground. The driver pointed at her nose and cursed. Because you people do not follow the rules at all. Your whole family is nothing but trouble on the road. Even if I pulled him out today, who knows how many people would pay for his carelessness? My wife covered her face and sobbed. Our brakes really failed. But you deliberately slammed on your brakes in front of us. Your brakes are not broken. It is your conscience that is broken. The white car's driver said impatiently. I watched my wife get beaten, and my hatred reached its limit. Even then, my wife still tried to come save me. I said urgently, forget about me. Take care of our daughter. Our daughter was no longer in the car, so I no longer had to worry about crushing her. I forced my seat backward. The child's seat and driver's seat crushed against each other and broke, gradually making room for my leg. But the white car's driver was still not satisfied. He suddenly raised his leg and brutally kicked my wife in the face. He roared, if you had not kept laying on that horn from the start, none of this would have happened. I hate people who will not stop honking. At that moment, my leg could finally move. The car was engulfed in roaring flames. The heat was unbearable. I barely managed to escape. Seeing how pathetic I looked, the white car's driver burst into wild laughter. This is hilarious. You filthy animal. Will you ever drive like a maniac again? Breathing hard, I walked toward him. He smugly said, let me tell you. The police will be here soon. You are guilty of a hit and run. You are finished. I will make sure the police know everything you have done. I ignored him and crouched down to check on my daughter. My daughter's eyes brimmed with tears, and her face was covered in blood, but she was no longer crying. When she saw me coming, she suddenly held out both little hands, wanting me to hold and comfort her. That sight hurt more than her crying ever could. Just then, a passing car pulled over beside us. The driver asked, are you all right? Do you need help? I said gratefully, please take my wife and daughter to the hospital. He immediately said it was no problem. The white car's driver was still mouthing off at me. Hey, do not help them. This family has no manners. If you take them to the hospital, they will flee the scene right away. I said coldly. I am not getting in the car. I am staying here. Just moments ago, I told myself, if I made it out alive, I would skin that animal alive. But I am a rational man. With my wife and daughter there, I would not start a fight. The driver who stopped was a kind man. He quickly helped my wife and daughter into his car. I thanked him gratefully and asked him to take them to the nearest hospital. My wife rolled down the window and said worriedly, "Honey," I said gently, "I will stay and handle this. Do not worry." My wife shook her head. She said through tears, "Honey, hit him." I smiled. Whenever something happened before, my wife would always tell me to calm down. But today, she gave me an order she never had before. I stroked her head and softly said, "Okay." They drove away. I watched the car disappear into the distance, then turned to the white car's driver. He was still filming me with his phone. "Did you hear that? He said he was going to hit me. Even now, he does not know he is wrong. He still wants to threaten me with violence. I do not understand this day and age. Why, whenever something happens, do they have to pull out a phone and film someone? Do they think holding a phone automatically makes them right?" I walked toward the white car's driver. He sneered at me. "Go ahead, touch me. Let me tell you, if you dare lay a hand on me, I will throw myself straight to the ground." I asked him, "Why were you in the passing lane on the highway, driving at about 45 miles per hour? He said impatiently, "What is it to you? You rear-ended me, then fled the scene. I have been wanting a new Mercedes anyway. Go on, hit me. Stop talking." I tossed my phone to him. "What are you doing? Trying to hit me with your phone? It has my call record with the police. When I rear-ended you, my brakes had failed. I called the police for help." He looked at my phone screen, and his expression instantly turned grim. "I did not flee the scene. You were the one racing me on the road, slamming on your brakes on purpose, and throwing things at my car, knowing full well it could have terrible consequences. You are suspected of dangerous driving and intentional assault. Do you understand? You are going to prison." In disbelief, he tapped through my phone. He stared at it blankly. I stepped in front of him and looked him straight in the eyes. The white car's driver swallowed hard and said, "Wait, man, there has been a misunderstanding. When I hit the brakes, I may have been in the wrong too." I shook my head. "You do not know you were wrong. You only know you are about to die." His face changed dramatically in an instant. He was so scared his cigarette fell from his hand. He spun around and ran. But we were in the landscape strip inside the guardrail. How could he possibly run fast there? He stumbled, nearly falling over. But I had already caught up. I grabbed him by the hair. I said coldly, "You passed your driver's test, right? Holding down the horn is not just rude. What else does it mean?" He said, "You warned me. In advance?" I roared, "If your ears do not like hearing a horn, then you do not need them anymore." I forced his head to the ground. He fought back frantically. Then I seized his head and smashed it hard against the car window. At last, he collapsed weakly to his knees, begging me. "I was wrong. I am sorry." Just then, I heard police sirens in the distance. I crouched down, took one of his cigarettes, and lit it. I sat in the landscape strip, leaning against a tree, listening as the sirens drew closer. Then my phone rang. I answered it. My wife's voice came from the other end. "Honey, we made it to the hospital." I choked up and softly asked, "Are you and our daughter both all right?" "Wait, let me have you listen." There was some noise on the other end. I heard my wife encouraging, "Our daughter. Say it one more time. Just like before. Say it again." Then I heard a very gentle, very childish voice softly call out, "Daddy." My nose stung at that moment, and at last, my tears fell. I had wanted to break down and cry earlier. I was terrified. I was panicking, but I held it all in, forcing myself to stay strong. Now, I finally could not hold back. Sitting on the ground, I wept without restraint. That daddy sounded so young, so awkward and unpracticed, but I had finally heard it. I said, "The police are here. I may be going away for a few years. Wait for me." "Did you hit him?" "I did. Do not worry." I hung up. At last, the police arrived. The patrol car pulled up beside us and stopped. When they saw the scene, they were all stunned. One officer could not help saying, Weren't your brakes out? Why does this look like a fight? Lying on the ground, the white car's driver cried, "Officer, help me." I spread my hands and said, "Sorry." I really could not hold back. I got into the police car. They took me to the police station. The police told me they had already closed every entrance ahead, with patrol cars ready to escort us. They just had not expected us to clash halfway there. Luckily, officers had been searching for me from both directions, so they reached us sooner. My wife was safely taken to the hospital. My wife and daughter were both all right, especially the screwdriver that pierced my wife's shoulder, which thankfully missed all major nerves and bones. The white car's driver was utterly arrogant. After receiving treatment, he strongly demanded that I pay a painful price. Anyone who has been through this knows. He just wanted more compensation. So I gave him exactly what he wanted. I told the police, "That is fine. Sentence me as you see fit. I will not pay him one extra cent." After I made my position clear, the white car driver's side panicked. They arranged several negotiations, but I rejected everyone. In the end, the white car's driver grew desperate. He even proposed that we call it even, with neither side seeking compensation, and neither side pressing charges. Unfortunately for him, I still refused to settle. My meaning was clear. Then we can both go to prison. The white car driver's family panicked. They asked why I would not settle. Was going to prison something to be proud of? There was no special reason. It was simply because I own a small workshop. I did not make much money. But even if I went to prison, my small workshop would keep running. But the white car's driver was different. I learned he was a company executive. Now he would lose everything. Who would hire a criminal as an executive? His job would be gone. His future would be gone too. And it would be a stain on his name. Eventually, the court issued its verdict. The white car's driver was convicted of assault causing bodily harm, dangerous driving, and causing a traffic accident. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison. When I heard the outcome, I was not surprised at all. I had known all along that he would get off lightly, which was why I beat him. I shattered both his shoulders and burned one of his ears, leaving him deaf on that side. I knew the final outcome would never satisfy my rage. I knew the punishment for dangerous driving was minor, unless it caused someone's death. No matter how infuriating his actions were, the sentence would only be short-term detention. Even his traffic accident charge was not for harming my family. It was because traffic police found him fully at fault, and he was involved in dangerous driving. The insurance company refused to pay. The damage to my car exceeded 300,000 yuan. He could not afford it, which was why he faced that traffic accident charge. By comparison, I should have received a harsher sentence. But the court considered that my wife and daughter's lives were in danger then. In the end, I was sentenced to 3 years. I could live with that. In prison, I could write letters. My wife brought our daughter to visit me. She also wrote to ask how to handle factory matters. I told her everything, detail by detail. My business partners heard what had happened to me. They all asked my wife to pass along a message. They told me not to worry. They would make sure every order from my workshop was taken care of. Although I was in prison, my family's finances were barely affected. I just missed my wife and daughter terribly. When my wife came to see me, she said things were miserable for the white car's driver. His company had fired him, of course. He received no severance pay. They could not keep up with their mortgage payments, so their home had to be sold in a hurry. In an instant, they were back to square one. Because he had been found fully at fault, his family was now destitute. After all, compensation for the guardrails and everything else was no small sum. Apparently, even his wife and child had left him. He had truly become all alone. He had nothing left, and was drowning in debt. I merely smiled when I heard that. I asked my wife to wait for me to come home a changed man. Wait for me. She gently said, "I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you." I behaved well in prison. 2 years and 10 months later, I was released. The day I got out, my wife and daughter came to pick me up. For more than 2 years, my wife had kept showing our daughter photos of me, telling her stories about her father. So she did not see me as a stranger. The moment she saw me, she ran straight toward me, holding out her arms and calling, "Daddy." I swept her into my arms and planted a big kiss on her cheek. Then I said gently, "Daddy's home." I turned to my wife and asked, while I was gone, "Did anyone bully you?" She said, Your story is so well known. Who would dare bully us? Oh, right? That white car driver was released too. I asked her. And then? My wife said. Then he killed himself. He had nothing left. He could not go on living. What a joke. Yeah. Pretty funny. I carried my daughter into the car, stroking her little head, and said gently, "Say it again." Nestled in my arms, she sweetly called, "Daddy." Such a good girl.